What is going on, everybody? Quancredible here, bringing you the review for Four Nights of Apocalypse chapter 26. And this chapter gave a lot of pretty decent information, as well as pushing the plot forward quite a bit. And honestly, I don't know if it was just because I was really waiting on this exact chapter or what, but I enjoyed this chapter a lot. And even right in the very beginning, we get the tail end of a conversation between Sin and Sylvain, and I'll be the first person to tell you I had no stocks in Sylvain when he first got introduced. But the fact that him and Sin can actually converse and we get to see it adds a lot. I'm not saying this makes Sylvain a good character, but at the very least, it's making him a good plot device for us to hear a little bit more about Sin. Now, there's some really important things that even though the conversation that we got to see is short, there's really important things that were being said here. And the first one was that Sylvain was saying that, oh wow, you have to take these so-called four nights of apocalypse to your kingdom. And this lets us know right here that Sin is probably from Leonis. He's actually from there. So I don't know what that means, but that kind of takes away the possibility that he could just be some random person from somewhere else. And then the other one was that Sin said that, never thought that babysitting a kid on the road would be that hard. And it's one of those things where this could indicate that Sin is not a child, which unfortunately kind of hurts my Lancelot theory. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I made a theory video the other day about who Sin could potentially be. Check that out. I got some good thoughts there, and I'd love to get you guys' opinions on it. But it kind of hurts that theory, but it does boost up the other two people that I thought it was. But it does take away from Lancelot. But now then when you get to Van saying, I never did think you were like a normal fox, but I never thought you were, and then it just cuts off. So I was just so Sylvain knows who Sin is. So it is known now, but we still don't know as the reader. So hopefully we get more of that soon. I judging by how this chapter went and how this arc seems like it's gonna go, I doubt we're gonna get a huge Sin reveal unless maybe he comes in at the end to save everybody. But we're just gonna have to hold that one now. And after that, we do get to see Annie and Percival. Annie has won a literal mint off of betting on Percival in these wrestling matches. Obviously Percival is going to be much stronger than just your average fighter. And it's funny because Percival was just oh, thanks for playing with me, guys. And it's just a mob of dudes just wiped out. Percival was wrestling freaking Varghese his whole life, so these dudes are light work for him. Percival probably didn't even have to use magic or anything. And it's also a callback to the cover page. I really like how this cover page looks for some reason. Just Percival flexing along with his little mini Percival. I just thought it looked really cool. But after that, we get into the really important part of the chapter, which is Donnie and Hauser and Nansons. Now, in the midst of Donnie kind of making small talk with Hauser, Nansons does ask him why he is here, to which, Hauser says he doesn't really talk to amateurs all like that. And then he notices that Donnie has, a piece of the coffin of eternal darkness, and he kind of just snaps. Hauser really snaps right here, which is so odd because Hauser, as we known him in Seven Deadly Sins, was kind of more lighthearted, more of a jokester. We're not really so much of a jokester, but just not super serious. He wasn't a super serious guy. So to see him drunk, kind of really angry was just such a stark difference from what we have been used to. If you read Seven Deadly Sins or were a fan of that series, but he snatches it away from Donnie and says do you even know what this is? And when Donnie is explaining what it is and what it does, Hauser just straight punches him right in the face. And I was really shocked because I just said, this is very different from how Hauser actually is. So the fact that they knocked Donnie out, or not knocked him out, but just punched him down and said this is a really important thing, and if it falls into the wrong hands, it's over for Leonis. So obviously I don't think anybody's trying to seal or unseal the demons anymore, just because Meliodas is around, so they probably don't have anything to worry about. But Hauser is probably full aware of the threat of Camelot and what they could potentially do if they had this. Not to mention they probably Leonis, Hauser being Holy Knight captain, and they were probably aware that Arthur and them had the majority of the pieces. They were probably aware of this and just didn't know what to the fullest extent of what was going on. So Hauser is still captain, so he does still have to kind of take this, and he his anger is very justified, especially when it's in the hands of his in his eyes, failure nephew who ran away from his training and who's also known to steal, because he does accuse Donnie of stealing it. And it's right here that it's like a really tough moment too, because because Hauser's just insulting Donnie, calling him like a spineless coward, and saying that his sister's in heaven probably crying, and it's just like that was like a lot. That is a lot to hear from, I feel like, your uncle that Donnie probably holds in high esteem because he is, Holy Knight Captain. So like that was just really tough for Donnie to hear, and it was even tough for me because I'm like, I liked Hauser. Hauser was one of my more favorited side characters. So now he's like a jerk, kind of. So I mean, granted, he's drunk. That is another thing to keep in mind. He's probably not like, when you're drunk, you don't have full control, or not full like understanding of what you're doing. Like when your filter is kind of gone. So he might have laid it on a little bit thicker than he wanted to, but he still said what he said. And then in the midst of this, a crowd carrying Percival bursts in, cheering about him because he is the new champion, tossing him up and down. But it's also this moment that Donnie like runs out. Like Donnie leaves. Obviously, he's ashamed, embarrassed, hurt. He's feeling all kind of emotions. And Hauser does take advantage of this opportunity to take all of the money that Annie won away from her, saying that you guys are the one that probably put Donnie up to this. To which Nansen steps in and he's like, give back what you took from Donnie and give back the money that you took from Annie. And it's like Percival like snaps immediately. Like you can see Percival gets immediately serious once he realizes that Donnie was hurt. He almost seems like he's more concerned about Donnie than the money, which makes a lot of sense. I feel like Percival just doesn't have any no, I don't feel like he does have no concept of money's worth. And right when Percival is getting riled up to like more or less confront Hauser, the crowd's starting to chant for a fight. Hauser does still not necessarily want to fight a kid, and I do kind of think Hauser would more than likely win, even though he is drunk, but he doesn't want to fight a kid. So it's funny because Nansen's proposes a different type of fight, or a different type of challenge, which is a drinking contest, which was really, I didn't see I didn't see that part of the chapter coming at all. Like a drinking contest out of nowhere. So then essentially Nansen and Hauser just start knocking him back, but this is when Nansen is trying to explain what is actually going on to Annie and Percival. And it's funny because if you look back at the last like chapters with Kant, Nansen's was shown in various places kind of like looking around, and it's one of those things where Nansen is saying that it's very odd how this whole town is set up, how everything was priced the exact same, how all the armor and stuff had royal emblems, even though that stuff is usually for custom order, not just like to just be sold normally, and that everything about this town is really suspicious, and that he wonders if all the people in this town even actually live here. Although he's explaining this, he's also drinking back to back with Hauser. And it's funny because I have my own idea about why Nansen's able to drink like this. I'm pretty sure it's relating to his magic. I'm not for sure what about alcohol may even qualify for Nansen's ability, but maybe Nansen's like power to ingest poisons and potions extends a bit further than what we think it does, and it does extend to like any drink, I guess, or like any type of chemical maybe, which I mean alcohol as a drink would be considered some type of chemical. I'm sure I'm not like a scientist or nothing, but I'm pretty sure it probably does count, which is why maybe he doesn't get drunk like a regular person would, which I guess is good and bad at the same time depending on like how much you value drinking. But yes, once he starts to figure this out, they do say that it is a little bit too late, because this is also when Percival, they snuck him some alcohol. They basically gave Annie some alcohol. They're both essentially at this point blackout drunk, and this is when the whole mood of the room shifts, and then the actual boss of the area comes out, and it turns out to be Eldon. I'm pretty sure that's how you say the name, which is Hauser's old apprentice, the person he used to train alongside Donnie. Now, there's no doubt in my mind that this is why Hauser was here. I'm assuming if tons of royal armor is being stolen, that is a big deal. And also the fact that it was, one of Hauser's direct apprentices is probably why he himself went to go, handle it. Because I mean, there's always that thing in shows where there is like a person who went bad that was someone's apprentice, so they want to handle it themselves just to try to see for like with their own eyes what's going on. Now, I kind of feel like the direction of this arc, like at least some parts of where this arc is probably going to go is really obvious to me. Like, I definitely think, Donnie ran out. He's going to come back and confront Eldon together and probably have his moment and get stronger and earn Hauser's appreciation. There's no doubt that that is the overlining thing that is going to happen here, but I guess there's just a lots of in-between things I want to know. Like, I mean, I'm very curious to know how much of Percival's involvement is going to be in here since he's drunk. Like, I wonder if he's just going to be knocked out the entire time, as well as how is the reconciling between Hauser and Donnie going to go, as well as what exactly is Donnie going to be able to do once he does come back. Because so far, like, it must be Donnie must have some secret ability, because I did notice that this Eldon dude did have like a scar on his head. So I wondered, is that has to be Donnie related, is what I feel like. I feel like that has to be Donnie related. And then there's also the ever-present thing of Sin. Sin is not here for any of this. So I wonder if Sin is aware of what's going on, or if Sin knew this town was like this. And if he didn't, I wonder, is he going to come in at some point and save everybody, and we might get a glimpse of at who Sin actually is in this chapter too. Possibly. It's very possible. Aside from that, I'd probably give this chapter like an 8.5. I really enjoyed this chapter. Like, it was a solid 8.5. Not quite a 9, but an 8.5 for sure. So let me know how you guys felt about the chapter down below. Let me know how you guys think things are going to wrap up. I would like to know you guys' thoughts on Sin, how you guys feel about Hauser. Ultimately, I don't hate Hauser quite yet, because I kind of understand he's drunk, but he's still doing his job. So I definitely can kind of get it. But yeah, leave you guys' thoughts down below. Make sure you like the videos or subscribe to the channel for more 4 Nights of Apocalypse content coming up. And aside from that, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. See you all in my next video.